Coming up finals week, it's nice to always get through that part of the end of the semester and stressful time for our student athletes, and this group is outstanding in the classroom. So that was trying week. Coming off a loss that we felt like that was a game we did a lot of really good things in. We had a great opportunity to win it. They made a play at the end. I think we've tried to continually work on situations. In these 5 or 6 practices we've had. So thought we did a lot of great things. That's the #1 defense in the country. I think we forced them into playing a way that, even on that side of things, that they had not done because of all of our ball screens and our efficiency on that end. They went to a lot of 5-way switching, but I thought defensively we were really good. Obviously, the Gainey kid made the play, but now we get the Braggin Rights. 44 years of what I think is one of the intriguing rivalries in all of college basketball. I think these are the games that are so good for our sport, obviously so much respect for Dennis and the job he's done, the history of the program going back to Norm Stewart, and my days as a player in the Big 8, playing Mizzou. So great team this year. They're doing a lot of really good things. They're a very, very deep team, playing 13 guys, which makes them very challenging to prepare for. Playing a lot of different defenses, as Dennis has always done. They play extremely hard. They're very efficient in transition. They're just deceivingly, everybody looks at their free throw rate and knows they're #1 in the country, getting to the foul line. But beyond that, they're a very good three-point shooting team. So, we've got our hands full against a good team that obviously has beaten Kansas at home, and we'll have to be very good to beat them.
I'm curious, big picture, how do rivalries like this kind of hold up in the day of portal and player movement when you have 2 scholarship guys who've even been a part of this?
It's different for them. It's great for the fans. It's a different type. It's just another game for our guys, and that's until you live through that, you truly don't understand it. But the uniqueness of it, we've talked about it. 11,000 of theirs, 11,000 of ours, the gold and black and the orange and blue, and what that's truly like, because it is so different. It's probably the only time this year that we see that split. So, but it's good for basketball because it keeps interest high, and for us, it's another game against a great opponent. We've seen a lot of those this year, and we'll have to treat this one no different than any other.
You mentioned the late game situations. Do you feel like your guys were able to kind of move on quickly from kind of a heartbreaking loss last Sunday and turn that into kind of determination to get better?
Yeah, kids are pretty resilient, and like I said, you do 2 things from losses: you learn or you accept. And this group's very competitive, and I think it's one of the challenges with a lot of new guys is understanding late game situations, and we're 9 or 10 games into a season, and you've still got to continue to work on your base and your fundamentals, and sometimes those situations aren't quite where you need them, and now with this break, we've had a good opportunity to work on some of those and talk through those and keep guys thinking and understanding, and it's part of the challenge of a new group.
Were late game situations a big kind of learning lesson from that Tennessee, or was there something else over the course of the last week?
I think we were really, really good throughout. Defensively, we were exceptional. I thought offensively, we did a lot of things to stress them. And again, that's the #1 defense. I think we've seen 3 or 4 top 10 teams defensively. And then we've seen the Oakland zone. So I think we've been stressed in a lot of ways offensively that we've handled pretty well. So I feel great about that. I think you obviously have a sideline out of bounds play we didn't execute. We didn't cut off it very hard. Tommy didn't reach to catch it. KJ actually threw a pretty good pass, and you got to execute those situations. Not a time to be complacent, and then we just talked through a couple late game defensive lapses, just lost focus, but that's all part of it, and we're not going to jump off the cliff in December with those situations. We've got to continue to grow and be really positive, because we did a lot of good things against a great team.
What do you maybe like to get accomplished this time of year when you've got more time in here that's not game prep and you've got 5 or 6 days?
It's our time. Never in my history as a head coach have we not gotten better at the semester break. When the academic focus is not there, guys getting in the gym, guys get extra free throws, they get extra shooting. You can bring them in twice. You can have, spend a little more time adding and dummying stuff, so it sets in. Things become habit at this time of year, and guys love it because it's a time for them to keep adding to their arsenal and individual workouts. So it's been a huge and very important time for us.
I mean, along those lines, you guys have used this December time as coaches to kind of tinker with things. We saw it after Marquette, and Mizzou has been kind of a point there. Is that something you guys have talked through and identified things you'd like to tinker with?
A good amount, yeah, a good amount. I think you use the non-league and the competition we played against to figure out what works and what doesn't, what lineups work and what doesn't, and find out different see different things that you come across. We've thrown actually quite a bit out there on the offensive side, and some of it we're not running near as much, and some of it we're continuing to add and grow to in certain packages. So it's a great time of year to do that, and again, it's not jump off the cliff time because we lose a game. It's time to realize that this group's 10 games in and continuing to get better every day.
What's Dre giving you in his minutes off the bench?
A lot. He hasn't shot the ball particularly well for a guy that is a really, really good shooter. Defensively, he's been outstanding. He's a guy that competes extremely hard. He's a guy that athletically has quickness that we really like on the ball. He's a guy that can really get going offensively and get his own shot. He is an elite hard shot maker. But his leadership, he's been a guy that hasn't been afraid to step up into that role. So those are all things that have been really positive for us.
He talked about there not being a drop off defensively when he came in for Kylan, having that same intensity. What does that do to the other team when there's not a break? They've had Kylan for 6 minutes. And
yeah,
it's Dre.
Yeah, that's what we always look for in terms of production off the bench, is a defensive step up or keeping it the same. Not a we don't want to drop, and that's it. And we look for the same thing on offense, and we get a defensive lift with Draven. We get it with Merez. We get it with a little offensive punch with Will, and things change a little bit schematically for the other team when those guys come in the game. So having that consistent presence on the ball is what Draven gives us, and he's a tough little sucker to get away from and separate from.
Where are you guys at from a pace standpoint? Are you about where you want to be? Do you want to speed it up a little?
Every game's different. I thought that we looked the other day, and after watching the Missouri game last year, and I said, golly, were we fast? Watching the game, we're playing faster than we did last year. We're 3 possessions a game faster. We're 3 possessions more. We're playing faster. It looks different because we're getting into action so much quicker. And then we don't have sheer speed in Terrence, getting those opportunities. But you look at our possessions and they're up, and we're doing it against really, really good defenses. So I think we're still trying to settle and figure some of those things out with our pace. We like to play fast. We like the open court. I think that's good, but I think there's got to be some sense of sanity in terms of what we do on that side.
Were you surprised that you were 3 possessions faster, just maybe from, I don't know, just not seeing Terrence sprinting at 100 miles an hour?
Yeah, you get in awe of what TJ did, and you know that's that just found its way into some easy baskets. We're still pretty doggone fast, you know, and I think that, you know, we're just doing it this year. We're playing into so many ball screens. Our efficiency, ball screen wise, is really good. I think we would, you know, I was looking back at when I had Juwan Evans and Juwan's usage compared to what KJ's usage is. 9 percentage point difference. That's how much I used Juwan. I mean, and KJ's such a good facilitator. We've got to get him involved, keep getting him involved more, because he's making a lot of the right decisions and reads, and so there are things like that we look at this year, and we adjust to what we're doing, and you know, finding some different places to put Ben, some different places to put Will, where they can be effective on the offensive end, and then continue to grow defensively, which we've got a great challenge tomorrow. I think we're 9th defensively or whatever we are in Ken Palm, and we got to continue to do that against a really good offensive team.
Largely 2 new rosters for both teams. What carries over from that game last year when you watched it to this year? Or is it just a new game?
You know, I think it's every game's independent of each other. I don't try to make too much out of one year to the next, especially in today's world.
Yeah.
You know, these guys up here have hardly any idea what the outcome of the game was last year or the year before. You know, they don't know. You know, they've done a great job in the portal. You know, Dennis and his staff have done an incredible job of kind of redefining what that team looks like after a tough year, you know, last year. But, you know, the addition of Mark Mitchell, you know, you still got some guys back and that were impactful. You know, the Pierce kid has had some big games. You know, Robertson's growth and his piece of it. And they've done a nice job in the portal. And so, guy we're familiar with, Perkins. But they play so many guys. It's just they find one that's clicking and hot. They stay with it. And you know, the Bates kid is having a great year at 28 or 29 against Kansas. So, you know, there's enough guys back, and there's a lot of new faces, but so the newness will be there for both of us.
Are you seeing
You change with like truthful eligibility. I guess how does that change your recruiting approach, and how would that have changed it?
A lot of talk, a lot of conversation about what that looks like. On the outside, I don't like it very much. You know, I thought we were trying to get away from some of that. I think it just changes the dynamic. I mean, you could look at a kid that has 60 credits transferring in, and he's a freshman. So how does that affect eligibility? You know, we're going to get to where we're back to 25, 26-year-olds playing college basketball again. So I don't know. I don't know enough about it. I don't know. You know, it obviously affects. You know, I think it could affect prep schools. I think it could affect the low major schools some. Kids would opt to go to junior college and get their base classes out of the way. And I don't know. To be honest, when the court ruling happened, we were in the middle of this, and I was recruiting. I haven't just dove into it a lot superficially. I'm not a big fan.
You gonna try and get your 2 years back?
Oh man, I mean, I lost out on so much in NIL back, and you know, I got my $25 a month laundry money, you know, at K-State, and you know, yeah, there's not one person that would take me with my 2 years back. See you guys there.